Alrighty guys, this is your video for your homework. The top part asks you to solve these questions using the percent proportion. The second half asks you to use the percent equation. Coming back up to the top, we're going to read our first problem and highlight our important information because that's the first thing you should do. There are 435 students total, and 55 of them like the color purple the best. What percent of them like the color purple? So important information here would be 435 students total, and 55 of them like the color purple. Now, I sure like the color purple as well. And the question says, what percent of them like purple? Miss Lyons and I think it's extremely important the first time you get to any problem is to identify your part, your whole, and your percent. It'll just make your life a lot easier. So it says 435 students total. That implies that that is the whole. 55 of those students like the color purple, makes it the part, and it's asking for the percent. So the percent here would be represented by the variable x. When you go to set up your proportion, you would have part over whole, which is up here. Part over whole equals percent over 100. So we have part, which is 55, over whole, which is 435, equals our unknown percent over 100. From here, you cross multiply and solve. Take a minute, pause the video. When you come back, the answer will be there. Alrighty, there's the cross multiplication. You have 435 times x gives you 435x. Alrighty, there's your answer, guys. You have the cross multiplication. 55 times 100 gives you 5,500 or 5,500. 435 times x gives you 435x. Divide both sides by 435, you get an answer of approximately 12.6. I rounded that decimal, which means that 12.6 of the students like the color purple. All right, on to the next one. It says, Yolanda's club has 40 members. Boom, importante. Its rules state that 80% of them must be present in order to vote. So 80% must be present in order to vote. At least how many members must be present? So again, we're going to go ahead and we're going to identify our part, our whole, and our percent. If the club has 40 members total, would that be the part or the whole? Hopefully you know that that would be the whole. And they tell you 80% of them, so the percent is 80. And in this case, we're looking for the part this time. So the part will be x. We're going to go ahead and set up our proportion. You can pause the video, set it up, give it a shot on your own. Let's see how you do. All right, hopefully your proportion matches mine. Now give the video a pause and cross multiply and solve. Alrighty, check your work with that cross multiplication. You should have gotten an answer of 32. And if you're writing yourself a target statement, which you should be, because you should be in the habit of writing that every time, it will take at least 32 members to have a vote. All right, next. 1 is what percent of 5? So as you can see in our percent proportion, we have part over whole. The part refers to the number that has the is attached, and the whole refers to the part of the of. So here it says 1 is what percent of 5? So the is the 1, the of is the 5, and we're searching for the percent. So if we go ahead and fill in our proportion, it will be is over of or part over whole. 1 over 5 equals our unknown percent over 100. Go ahead and cross multiply and solve. Pause the video and see if your work matches mine. All right, check your cross multiplication. Hopefully you got x equal to 20, but the key here is we're looking for percent, so you need to know that it represents 20%. If you were looking for a target statement, you could say something like 1 is 20% of 5. Perfect. All right, number 2. what number is 25%? Again, that's the percent of 40. So in this part, we're looking for the is. So the is will be represented by x. So when we go to set up our proportion, it's is over of or part over whole equals percent over 100. So is unknown, x divided by your of, which is 40, equals your percent, which is 25 over 100. All right, pause the video, cross multiply and solve, see if you match. Alrighty, check your work. Hopefully you got x equal to 10. And if you're writing yourself a target statement, you write 10 is 25% of 40. Very simple. Already number 3, we're going to go ahead and read it. It says 30 is, so 30 is our is, 60% of what number? So we don't know the of. So is over of or part over whole equals percent over 100. So our is 30 over our of unknown equals our percent of 60 over 100. Pause the video, cross multiply and solve. Let's see how you do. Alrighty, so hopefully you did cross multiplication and you got x equal to 50. A nice target statement would be 30 is 60% of 50. Done and done. Now we're moving into the new part, which is the percent equation. Want to remind you, it goes part equals percent times your whole. Please remember, we can never use percent as it is. We have to turn it into a fraction or a decimal. I prefer decimal, so that's what we're going to focus on here. All right, solve each proportion, blah, blah, blah. Now, just like up top, if part is, that means part is here. If whole is of, that means whole is of here. And of course, the percent is what it always is. So 1 is, so that's the part. What percent of 5? So now we're going to go fill into our equation, which says part or is equals percent times whole or r of. That means that we have 1 equals x times 5. Well, how do we write x times 5? Well, it's 5x. So 1 equals 5x. If we want to solve for x, we're going to go ahead and divide 5 by both sides, which gives us 1/5 equals x. And now if you put that in your calculator and you got a decimal, it should be 0.2. Alrighty, guys. One thing I'd like to mention about number 4 here is that when you got the answer of x equals 1/5 or x equals 0.2, that means that it's 0.2 is representing back to the percent in our percent equation. But remember, do we ever use the actual percent in the equation? No, we don't. We use it in decimal form. So if this percent here is in decimal form, how do we get it to be an actual percent? Well, 2 ways. We can move our decimal point 2 places to the right to give us 20%, or we can multiply our decimal by 100. But be careful and make sure that if you're solving for the percent in the equation, you must actually turn it back to a percent. You could have also said, okay, 2/10 is also 20/100 and done it that way. But you must turn it back into a percent when you're using the equation. When you use the proportion, it's already in that form because it's covered by this piece of your percent proportion, okay? So that's an important thing to note before moving on to number 5. Both acceptable answers. Let's take a look at number 5. What number is, so our is unknown because it's saying what is the is, 25% of 40. So again, it's part or is equals percent times whole or the of. So our part is unknown, x equals percent, which we will write as a decimal, 0.25, times our of, which is 40. 0.25 times 40 gives you 10. This one's very simple. X equals 10, and you're done. For the next piece, we have 30 is, so this is our is or a part, 60% of what number? So we're asking for what that of is. So here we go. We've got part or is equals percent times your whole. So 30 equals 60% as a decimal, 0.60 times our unknown number of our whole x. On the right-hand side, that just becomes 0.60x. So we have 30 equals 0.60x. Divide both sides by 0.60, and you get 50. So 50 equals x. All right. Number 7. A car can travel 32 miles per gallon of gasoline. When the tires are underinflated, the car gets 15% fewer miles per gallon. What is the fuel mileage of the car with the underinflated tires? Okay. So, what we're trying to figure out is what is that piece? What is that fewer? Because we're trying to find out what part of 32 miles per gallon will happen when you have underinflated tires. So, this would be the whole. We're looking for the part, and that's the percent. I prefer the equation, so I'm going to use the equation of part equals percent times whole. The part was unknown, so x equals 32 times our percent. Oh, I reverse it. Sorry, our percent 0.15 times our whole, which is 32. And we get 32 times 0.15 is 4.8. So x equals 4.8. Now here's the trick. What is the 4.8? Well, the 4.8 is how many fewer gallons it gets. But that's not what the question is actually asking. The question is asking, what is the fuel mileage of the car with the underinflated tires? So for this, you're going to take your regular fuel mileage of 32 and you're going to subtract the fewer miles per gallon of 4.8. So if you do 32 minus 4.8, you get 27.2. Therefore, the new fuel mileage will be 27.2. So your target statement would say the fuel mileage of the car with underinflated tires is 27.2 miles per gallon. All right, guys, I hope this helped. Please let us know if you have any questions. Have a great weekend.